Hey guys, what's up? It's iFlynn here, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about the best melee weapon in the game, and that is the Glaive Prime. Now, this thing is super expensive on Warframe.market, and that is for good reason. What makes this weapon one of the best melee weapons in the game, if not the best, is the simple fact that you can have it out, you just go ahead, you throw it, you detonate it, and you can see that it's going to force all these slash procs onto these enemies, and they are basically just going to bleed to death. Now, these are level 215 corrupted heavy gunners with the steel path modifier, so they're very heavily armored and they are well above like any type of enemy that you're going to be coming across just whenever you're playing casually. And as you guys can see, this weapon absolutely just obliterates these guys with the damage over time from the slash procs that we deal. So I'm going to be showing you guys two different builds. We have the 2x spam builds. Whenever I say 2x spam build, it basically just means that is the combo count that we're basically going to be staying at. And then we also have a 12x spam build, but that build requires a little bit more setup whenever it comes to your loadout, so you need to be running a frame that is able to easily proc finish your attacks. So this 2x spam build is the build that you want to be shooting for whenever you're using just basically any old frame. On the Glaive Prime, the stance mod that you run literally doesn't matter at all because we're just going to be using it for the heavy attack and the explosion. Sacrificial Steel is our mandatory critical chance mod. Prime Pressure Point is our mandatory damage mod. Now you can swap this out if you're using a frame with an additive damage buff, so for example Chroma, Octavia, or Limbo. But if we want to keep it simple, I recommend just keeping Prime Pressure Point on every single build for the Glaive. We also have Killing Blow for damage. Now this gives you the damage bonus, but it also gives extra wind up speed, so that makes the throw spam just a little bit more bearable. Amalgam Organ Shatter is our mandatory critical damage mod. It's also going to give you a little bit of wind up speed. Volatile Quick Return is going to increase the blast radius of your explosion by 3 meters. We also have a Prime Smite mod. Now you're going to swap this depending on the faction that you're facing, but generally you're going to be using the Glaive Prime's Force Slash versus the likes of heavily armored Grenier or corrupted enemies, so I recommend just keeping those on. The next up we have Corrupt Charge. Now this is what is going to give you that initial combo, so the 2x combo that we've got, which is basically just going to give you double heavy damage. You can keep this mod at rank 2 because if you increase it to rank 3, it doesn't really give you anything extra. We also have Power Throw on here. Now Power Throw is an optional mod. It's a multiplicative damage boost, kind of like Eclipse, but it requires you to do a catch and a throw, and I'll show you guys what I mean by that right now. Whenever I say a catch and a throw, so you have to throw it, make it explode, and then throw it like that again to do like the different little animation, the little twirl. It just requires you to time the melee button a little bit. So you see I did it wrong there, but that time I did it right because I did that little turnaround throw. If you don't want to bother with timing that melee catch and that melee throw, you can just go ahead and swap out Power Throw for something like Gladiator Might or a Riven. Dispatch Overdrive is also nice because it just gives us more movement speed whenever we're using this weapon. And then Melee Duplicate as our Arcane because it nearly doubles our overall damage. So the optimal critical chance for Melee Duplicate at 3.7 times crit damage is actually 131% critical chance. A heavy detonation on Glaive Prime with just Sack Steel is about 140%. I see a lot of people commenting like really worried about like their critical chance value because of Melee Duplicate. As long as you're sitting in that like 130, 140% sort of range, you're totally fine. If you're going to go for a Glaive Riven, what you want to get is critical damage, and initial combo. The initial combo is really good simply because, you know, you're just getting more damage because your combo count is higher. And remember, you're spamming your heavy attacks. Your heavy attacks is basically getting extra damage from your combo count. So having higher initial combo is always going to be better. And if you want to replace one of the mods, you can replace either Power Throw or Killing Blow. I would recommend replacing Power Throw just so you can be a little bit lazy. You don't want any more critical chance on your Riven because that is going to make your Melee Duplicate a lot worse. This build is kind of optimized to make the most out of Melee Duplicate. And let's say you're playing against the Corpus, you can just go ahead and swap in Prime Fever Strike or regular Fever Strike over Power Throw or your Prime Smite mod. Ideally, you'd slot Prime Fever Strike over Power Throw and then have Prime Smite Corpus in this slot here. That's pretty much it. That is the sort of like optimal, sort of lazy, easy spam build for the Glaive. And as you can see, level 215 Steel Path, Corrupted Heavy Gunners, and these guys just die extremely quickly with this build. Now this is a little bit more specific, but let's say you're a big fan of Ashe Prime and you've got a build for Ashe which makes use of his Fatal Teleport augment. What you can do is you can run a Glaive Prime build which looks a little bit like this, and just make sure that you've got melee crescendo on in the arcane slot. Now you can see down there in the bottom right hand corner we have no initial combo, so if we wanted to make the most out of our glaive we'd have to go and we would have to like melee some enemies to build up that combo, right? So we build up our combo count and then we can throw it and we can detonate it and it's going to deal that amazing slash damage, right? But if we take a read at melee crescendo, basically what it says is on finisher kill we gain 6 initial combo for the rest of your mission. So if you're playing Ashe and you're doing some type of endurance run and you happen to be using Fatal Teleport, now what you can do is you can just get a bunch of finisher kills while you have the Glaive Prime and you're constantly going to be at 12 times combo, meaning you can just spam heavy attacks over and over and over again. So what we need to do is we need to get exactly 37 finisher kills to have a permanent 12 times combo for our Glaive Prime. Just pay attention to the bottom right hand corner of the screen. So if I go ahead and I teleport to this Lancer, it might take me 2 teleports to kill some of them. But what you'll notice is that my combo starts to build up and up and up and up and up. So get a few more kills here. I'll maybe kill around about half of them. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead, I'm going to throw my glaive, I'm going to detonate. Now that would have consumed all of my combo, but because I'm using melee crescendo, I just went back to 4. The timer ran out and I still have a 4 times combo. I go ahead, I throw again. And as you can see, straight back up to 4. So I've went ahead and I got my 37 finisher kills. And as you can see, I just have a permanent 12 times combo. So I go ahead, I throw my glaive. And as you can see, everything just dies in one throw. Now, everything was already dying in one throw anyway, but this is just like an extra level of like laziness and just like maximum damage output. This is another reason that Ashe sort of remains as one of the best like endurance frames in the game, because he's able to just give you like a permanent 12 times combo because of Fatal Teleport. And it just so happens to be an absolutely insane combo on the Glaive Prime. And this is really cool because it also gives you the freedom to not have to run the likes of primary or secondary dexterity arcanes, because you don't have to worry about your combo running out because of melee crescendo. Now you can just go ahead, like go invisible, play Ashe how you normally play Ashe, and just jump around and just permanently spam this glaive at like all of the enemies and just get a ton of kills. Now you do kind of have to wait for the combo to like build back up, as you can see. So if I throw and then I detonate and then I throw again, like we're not at maximum combo all the time. You have to wait for it to sort of like build back up to 12, but because you're maybe like invisible on Ashe or something anyway, you know, it's not that big of a deal. On top of that, you're probably killing all the bad guys anyway with the Glaive Prime. And I don't even have anything on to like prime the bad guys either. Like there's absolutely 0 viral procs on any of these enemies and they're just all dropping dead. So yeah, the Glaive Prime is pretty busted. Now, it's just good at killing tons of enemies like in a short period of time with very little effort, and that's why it's one of the best weapons in the game. Quite easy to throw together builds for it as well, if I'm going to be quite honest. There are other melee weapons out there which do different things. So for example, the Praetos can like speed you up. The Dual Licker has the whole melee influence going for it and stuff like that. It just depends what you want to use. Like with the Glaive Prime, it's just throw it, make it go boom, and done. Just make sure that whenever you are using it, like you're actually like holding down E and then middle mouse button to make the explosion happen, because I see a lot of people, they're just picking up like the Zorus or the Glaive and they're actually just holding down E, throwing at the enemy, and they're like, why does mine deal no damage? What the heck, dude? But yeah, the Glaive Prime, absolutely busted. You only really need to have this build, if I'm being totally honest. And like I said, don't worry too much about the whole critical chance melee duplicate thing. This build is optimized for it. Like there's guys out there much smarter than I am who have done the math on all of this, and you know, they've landed on this is sort of the optimal like critical chance to go for. If you guys want to take a read at more of the math and stuff like that, I have a guy's Overframe linked down below, and in the description of the Overframe build for this, he explains like all of the math. His name is Ninjas. He does like a lot of like really well done explained builds, and he puts them up in Overframe for all of us to, you know, take a little gander at and you know, have good builds. So yeah, the 2x spam build and the 12x spam build if you're playing Ashe or another frame that can easily proc finishers, and you're laughing. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the Glaive Prime, the best melee weapon in the game. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe as it helps the channel a lot. If you want to get early access to my videos, you can become a channel member by pressing the join button beneath this video for $5 a month. Or if you want early access to other cool resources and behind the scenes content, you can subscribe to my Patreon for less than $5 a month. Consider clicking on the video on screen, and I'll see you guys in the next one.